Good morning. Hello. It is October 3rd and Life of a Showgirl is out. I've not listened to it yet and I just woke up. I was I was unprepared for this yesterday because I've been putting all of my attention into my own transformative Showgirl portal project that when I finally finished that, when I finally posted the last vlog on my Tortured Poets project, I was like, oh my gosh, the album comes out tomorrow morning. I don't even know what my listening plan is. And I've never recorded a reaction video because I think I've been quite precious about my first reactions to things. And if I'm being honest with myself, I think I was feeling self-conscious about inevitably changing my mind later on. But if we just agree that this is a first impressions thing and that is subject to change in the future, and isn't that fun to have that documented, this moment in time documented, we can go from there and let it roll. But I think that speaks to my very own showgirl nature in general, where I used to never share my moon art, and now it's in the background of this video, and I can't wait to share my moon art. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't creating from a place of thinking about how it would be received. And so for certain projects, I would keep it private so that I could prioritize getting acquainted with my own self. But I'm at a stage of selfhood that I feel confident in the present moment rather than having to worry about how this might be received in the future. Which, yay, that's good. Also, this album feels like it needed to be celebrated in a more social, extroverted way, whereas Tortured Poets and Midnights and Folklore Evermore were more quiet, personal experiences. This one, I'm going to the cinema tonight, but I wish I could just go there right now at 6:30 in the morning, or wait until 9:30 or whatever the first screening is. But it's not. The first screening isn't until 8 o'clock at night. So I kind of wish I could just do that as my initiation into the showgirl era, but Taylor didn't let us do it that way. So that's not how it's meant to be. So all of that to say, you are my showgirl party, internet, and we're gonna capture this moment together. So it's got me thinking about past albums and my impressions of them, and how I'm quite drawn to the most catchy, boppy tunes first, which I think will bode well for Showgirl because we know there's going to be some boppy tunes there. But then often my opinion will change, and I'll find like the more subtle hits that I enjoy more. So like, for example, I was drawn to Paper Rings on a first listen through. Down Bad, that holds up. But I didn't discover But Daddy, I Love Him until later on. That was a slow burn. And then for Midnights, I really liked Antihero at first until I heard Mastermind, and then I was like, that is my jam. But over time, You're on Your Own Kid is like my favorite, like my official favorite for that album. So I'm really curious what lands and then how that will grow and change and evolve over time. Oh, and I enjoy mishearing lyrics the first time. And this was an issue for me because she's not releasing the lyric videos right away on YouTube. I'm gonna have to go to the cinema for that. But so at first I was like, that doesn't make this very accessible to me because I have trouble hearing over background noise, and so I have trouble hearing lyrics over music. However, if I was thinking back to like 1989 and that and listening to Blank Space for the first time and being like, did she say Starbucks? That's a fun experience to have. And then you get like a new meaning of the song later on when you find out what the words actually were. So maybe there'll be some of that. In Tortured Poets, I thought she said, I'm heaven's baby. No, I'm not, but you should see your faces. And I was like, ooh, okay. So she's like claiming some aspect of divinity and then taking it back because people aren't ready to hear that. That's like too egoic. And then at the end, when she says it more slowly, I'm having his baby, I was like, she said what? And then I realized, oh, she's been saying that the whole time, hasn't she? But that was cool. It's a very divine Dionysian song. Okay. And I've also set up, this is so Showgirl. I was first worried about what is my setup going to be for listening to this. And then when I decided I would record a video, I started to set it up and I was like, this isn't fabulous enough. So I'm really pleased with how this has ended up now. Where you can watch the sun rising through my window, you can watch my lava lamp waking up, you can watch me waking up, and I've also put up my moon art for my lunar logbooks from last year and this year. I just set up this year's. This gives me something to kind of stare at while I'm listening so that I'm not just staring at like the microphone cord. Okay, so there's a tip for you. If you're going to be listening to something or if you're like on a Zoom call or something, put a vision board behind it so that when you're kind of staring off into space, you're staring into something purposeful. Okay, there's your wisdom. I want to listen to this album now. Wait, I just want to see, like, has she put anything on Instagram? I'm not usually on Instagram this early in the morning, but we're going to go straight to Instagram.com/Taylor Swift. Oh, hello. Tonight, all these lives converge here, the mosaics of laughter and cocktail of tears, where fraternal souls sing identical things, and it's beautiful, it's rapturous, it's frightening. This image is stunning. Oh, there's more. Is that the dress she wore that matches Sabrina Carpenter's? I'm not sure. That one's cool. No, I don't want to see a review, Taylor. I don't want to see that. We're just gonna go old school and put on the headphones. The Fate of Ophelia. Here we go. Aha! You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. It was as I expected. It's not about suffering the fate of Ophelia at all. You know, my music teacher in high school said that if a song doesn't really stick with you the first time, that is a good sign for its longevity, because the favorites tend to grow over time. So maybe that's the case with The Fate of Ophelia, where it didn't hook me so hard that it's gonna like fade out. So I think there's potential there. I really just noticed the part where, like, I think it's verse 2, she's just like explaining who Ophelia is. And it feels kind of like how I'm watching Survivor 49, and I didn't watch a lot of the preseason stuff, but in the podcast recaps on RHAP, they're saying, you know, maybe we watch, like, if you are familiar with everyone's story from the pregame, these first couple of episodes might seem lackluster because we're just catching up on the things that were said in interviews already, and there's not that much new to it. Maybe I know Hamlet too well to be like surprised by anything in this song. However, I was correct, and I feel good about that I'm like, the single has to be something that bridges Tortured Poets to Life of a Showgirl. So this is the like, okay, here's where we are now. You saved me from the fate of Ophelia. The fate of Ophelia is what would have happened if she had gone down the Tortured Poets lane further. So That's gratifying. Elizabeth Taylor. Okay, I did laugh out loud at the Cartier line where she's like, just kidding. That's like the director Taylor in the Target ad where she's like commentating on herself. I love that version of Taylor. Oh, okay. This one gave me chills when the beat came in for the chorus. It's like, ooh, this is fancy. This is going on my Strut the Street playlist. I like it. I'm curious how what these songs are going to contextually how they're going to contextually fit into my daily life, because like I kind of play a music video in my head for a certain mood, and like Bejeweled is a really good example of this, of like, by the way, I'm going out tonight, and then you like go out the door and you're walking down the street. What is Elizabeth Taylor in the context of somebody who is not a mega pop singer? What is that going to become? How am I going to like take that on? Also, what does the line mean? Had number ones, but not never had two? Does she mean like the hit and the guy? I don't quite understand what that means, but I'm sure it'll be explained to me soon. Opalite. Wait, before we start. So I was at the Portal Leith, which is one of my favorite witch shops ever. My lunar logbooks are stocked there. And I was having a chat with the owners, and they were saying that the Swifties have been coming in requesting Opalite just because it's on the track list before they've even heard the song. So I love that crossover of Taylor Swift and the witches and the magic. All right. Brother. There's another crystal. She? Who's she? Okay, we are warming up. This is getting good. It's this one's really fun. What do I have to say about that? This album is a lot of Travis. It's a lot about Travis. But we're getting a little less personal, so this feels a little more like the every person can relate to it. I had something to say about this. I really like the Dancing in the Lightning Strike. This is great, vivid imagery. We've got an onyx reference. Again, it feels Dionysian to me as a priestess of Dionysos Bromios. The lightning strike, all about that. It's cute, it's fun, and it's cute. So I'm going to be listening to that one more, I think. Is that my favorite so far? No, I think Elizabeth Taylor's my favorite, but we've got a ways to go. Oh, well, I remember what I was going to say. Okay, here's a fun thing, because I don't know what this means yet. She in the second verse of Opalite, she's referring to a she, and when I was expecting her to be talking about Travis again, and I mean I'm just assuming she's talking about Travis, and then she was like, you were posing in a screen where it looks like she's looking at her phone or something. And at first I thought that was about a parasocial relationship of like, this is somebody that she is looking up to, but they're not real. But now I'm wondering, is she referring to herself kind of metaphorically, of like, there's a version of her that's just posing and putting on a role, kind of like I was talking about in the beginning around why I haven't done reaction videos before, because I'm afraid of posing, where I'm like, maybe I'm going to ruin my initial reaction for myself because I'm worried about how it will be perceived, and so I'm like performing my reaction. So I don't know if that's what that is about or not, but it's what it made me think of. This is father figure. Well, that is fascinating. That is a better version of the man. Um, I love that she's the father figure, and it's about her being a mentor, and it's just, oh, it's so boss. Um, is this a response to Vampire? I don't want to say that. I don't I don't want to say this is about anybody in particular, but it's really cool. This feels like the curtain has been peeled back. Like she's been teasing for this album of like, this is not a side of Taylor we see. We see I'll sue you if you step on my lawn, but we don't see the like come into my office. I'm really excited about this because I can't think of a song that has this context of like being a father figure to a young prodigy. We don't have any other Taylor Swift songs about that. We have like Never Grow Up and like, oh, cute little baby. But this is her behind the scenes being boss man. So I'm really intrigued about that. That was delightful. Okay, I've just listened to Father Figure for the second time, and I'm wondering if she's playing a role. Like, is she being Scott Borchetta or somebody who was this character to her? Or is she being her? I don't know. I don't know. And in the months to come, I will know. And it will be obvious. Or I will know that the consensus opinion of the song is like, we don't know who she's being, and that's what makes it subversive and interesting. But at the moment, I don't know what I don't know. Eldest daughter. Also, she's like Easter egging the titles of these songs all over. She says canceled, she says eldest daughter already. It's very like interwoven. Wait, this is track 5, isn't it? Apathy is hot. I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage. Yeah. Oh, I really, really like that one. I I think we need it as a culture right now. We need to dissipate this like, I love the line, I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna leave you now. It's like, let's drop the facade, and like on one hand we have vigilante shit and and Bejeweled and like the kind of I don't want to say bratty because that's somebody else, but you know, like let's just go out and be fabulous and like and unbothered. But there's also this like private sincerity and vulnerability that this song is expressing, and it's also acknowledging that it's kind of against the grain of that like bad bitch culture. So I like this as something to slot into the whole collection of her music. Well, I find it interesting the narrative of like every eldest daughter had to take on this like badass persona to get through it. I am technically an eldest daughter, but I've never related to the tropes or the like, oh yeah, it's like this. And I hope that's been okay for my sister, my younger sister. It might have to do with the fact that I'm non-binary, so I haven't related to the like femme side of that. It's a weird one because like obviously I've been conditioned in that way, but there was always this kind of like, I don't quite fit into the trope that people are saying. And you don't have to be non-binary to not relate to a trope, but it certainly helps me understand like that dynamic of people are saying that it's like this, but you don't quite relate to that. That concept in general can be applied to a whole slew of things, but when it's about gender and it's something that comes up a lot, and again, you can be a cis woman and also not relate to what everyone's saying like the experience of womanhood is, but to like feel so, and that's what was confusing for me for a while in identifying or like expressing my own gender identity as like, well, not everybody agrees with everything. But it does kind of give me this sense of what it feels like to be like not quite understanding the like lived experience that everyone else seems to be nodding along to. So I don't know why I went down that road, but yeah, it's about like the relatability of the trope of the eldest daughter, and interesting that she's saying like you that leads you into this like fierceness. I'm also enjoying starting to understand the theme of the album, where it's like, this is who I am on stage and this is who I actually am underneath that. And there's kind of, I'm getting the relatability now in terms of like the masks that we wear in our non superstar like Eras Tour selves. We are still being showgirls by having to play a part or having to appear a certain way, whether it's online or in certain social contexts. But like underneath that, it's like, I know this isn't cool, but I'm gonna stay with you. I know this isn't cool, but I have these like grounded emotions, and I like that. I remember the other thing I was gonna say. The trampoline thing is really interesting because I was just listening to Robin on the Tortured Poets Anthology, which is not a song I seek out, but I was listening to all of it for my project, and there's a bit about a trampoline in it where this is one of those songs I'm talking about that she is like, oh, way to go, Tiger, like speaking to a younger kid rather than to like a mentee that she's training. We get a lot of her like speaking to a little kid. Robin is one of those songs, and she is like, there's some metaphor about a trampoline in there. And now in this song, she's talking about how the last time she laughed that hard was when she was jumping on the trampoline, and now she's laughing at that impression you did of your dad. I know, like, it's fun to think about, like, oh, there's a bit of lore. That's what she's referring to. And it might not be exactly what she's referring to, but if it's like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's why I like being a Swiftie, okay? It's like being a detective. Okay, this is, you know what? I need a notebook. I can't hold all these thoughts in my head. It's quite warm actually now. Your girlfriend was away. This is a getaway car song. It feels like she's writing fiction again. She's firmly in high school now, as I dress up as a character of Grease. My advice is always ruin the friendship. I think that's good advice. I don't know what that's about in the context of Taylor Swift, but it reminds me of To All the Boys I Loved Before. It reminds me of the Betty, Augustine, who's the other one? James thing. It reminds me of her like giving advice to a teenager, but she's not really in it. And there was a bit of a bait and switch because she's referring to like watching the game with your brother, and it's like, oh, Jason, but I don't think this is about that. I think that's good advice. I was just watching I was having my weekly Gossip Girl nail painting ritual, and I was watching an episode where Serena and Dan are on again, off again, and this is just the middle of season 2. And Serena has been invited to Argentina with her boyfriend Aaron, and she's kind of like not sure about it, and she's being really open with Dan. Actually, she's like, I'm not sure if I want to go because of you and I and like this confusing dynamic we're in. And he's like, well, Serena, you have to make up your own mind. And I think what she wants, she's actually telling him how she feels, and Dan is not actually telling her how he feels because he's in love with her, but he's like, well, I don't want like he's being annoying about it. And later he's complaining to Jenny about Serena playing games with him. Where like he's the one that's playing games with her. So all of this to say, I like Taylor's thesis here of like, just tell each other how you feel and it might ruin the friendship. That's fine. Okay. Is this her being an English teacher with her students? Okay, actually romantic. I'm so curious. Is this about Maddie Healy? Or is this about just haters in general? Interesting. She's being the bad bitch now. This is so good. I really like the beat. Well, that was a fun reframe. Is it just about haters in general? I love the line where she's like, your boyfriend is asking why are we talking about her again? That was really clever, and that's one of those songs that I feel like has this fresh context that is alchemy. This is actually alchemy, unlike the song The Alchemy, which has nothing to do with alchemy, in that it is transmuting something that is negative and painful and hurtful into something, it like diffuses it and creates something new with it. So she's like, it's actually romantic. Not only am I fine, okay, but it's like feeding me. So I enjoy tracking Taylor's revenge songs as like a progression of maturity, because like in Mean she's saying, well, I'm gonna prove you wrong one day, and then in You Need to Calm Down she's like, actually you are the problem, I'm fine. And then in this she's like, actually your meanness is like is filling me up. So I like that. And it feels like it's doing two things at once. She just told us on The Eldest Daughter that this is a coping mechanism, that she has to be bad bitch Taylor in order to get through it. But I also genuinely believe that this is a strategy that works for her. This, like, she is moving through it with this. It feels like I'm more grounded. Thank you, Amy. And I actually really like Thank You, Amy, because I find it kind of annoying on purpose. Kind of like, I bet you think about me, annoying on purpose. And I think it works. It's fun. She's putting on a costume. She's doing a dance. Wait, this is... I just remembered something. In Father Figure, did she say, I heard my deck is bigger than yours, because she's talking about like playing the cards, but maybe she said something else. Wish list. She's talking about the Oscars. She's being uncool again. 6 seconds later, I'm fastening myself to you with a stitch. Best friend who I think is hot. I don't think she's written an entire song about wanting to have kids before, but in the Fearless era, I want to say, it was very early on. She had a music video where she had kids, like little blonde kids, and I was like, how old are you? When I revisited that a couple of weeks ago. And so it's like, this is not new for her, but it's it's funny. It's funny that she's using the like dollar signs and the Seven Rings-esque beats to talk about like boring suburban life. Wood. What is wood? Sounds like a Christmas song. Okay, so knock on wood. It's about superstitions. Okay, what is the redwood tree? I don't understand that. So I don't know if this is because this is my first listen through, but I am having to pay attention to what the songs are about. rather than just jumping on board with the beat, such as Shake It Off. You get it right away. It's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. It's like you can just get onto the chorus right away and be like, I can dance to this song. I know what this is about. For some of these, I was expecting more pop hooks like that conceptually. Whereas this, I'm like, it kind of feels like there's a beat and you can dance to it, but I don't know what I'm dancing about. And then I'm also having to listen and get acquainted with the story. I'm like, oh, okay, that's knock on wood. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm listening to it in the context of like, I want to know what this is about. So maybe that's why I'm having that experience. Time will tell. Canceled. Did you girl boss too close to the sun? Is this about Blake Lively? Poison 40 Flowers. We're in mythology again. Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was talking about in the last one. I immediately know what that is about and I know what I am bopping to. Okay, we're in Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. We're in Reputation territory with this one. Thank goodness. I love all of the mythology in it. Being canceled is like going into the underworld. Okay, I love this line. If you can't be good, then just be better at it. Okay, this is fascinating because look at the Miss Americana documentary, look at any interview with Taylor Swift leading up to that era and through that era of like this fixation on being good and being pristine, having this pristine reputation, and how that just doesn't work. Like that's an impossible game to continue to win. So yeah, goodness in terms of like perception. And then tone deaf and hot. She's using hot a lot in this album, and I'm really enjoying her like ownership of that. And I really, really think and hope that this song is about Blake Lively because people are like, oh, Blake Lively didn't like her Instagram post about her engagement, and it's like that. Those two seem pretty tight. I think they're okay. And my take on the Blake Lively situation, I've not explained this in a while. Let me just get my words back. I just think like look at what the public has done to Blake Lively for being a bit annoying. That's what she's being accused of, whereas the other guy has been accused of sexual assault. But there's a narrative of like, oh, like they both did bad things. Like her bad thing was you find her annoying. Those are not equal. Honey. She's best when she's doing alchemy. My forever nightstand. Has anyone said that before? I've not heard that. Is that a flute? She's done it again. Yeah, the like recontextualizing. One word can mean the same thing depending on who's saying it and why. And if they mean it, because she said you mean it when you talk. It's like she wants this, she craves this sincerity, and she has it in front of her now, and she's receiving it. And the way that she says "honey" is, whoo. It also reminds me of she's talking about the Kanye situation without talking about the Kanye situation, because that was kind of at the core of her being called a bitch, where she's like, it's not okay to call me a bitch without telling me, like in that context. And now she's calling herself a bitch all over the place, but it's like the same word but it has a different meaning depending on how it's used and when it's used. And so I think that kind of call to literary analysis is important beyond the context of just like a term of endearment from a lover. So I like that. I think we're at the end. Before I start playing this on repeat all day, that is. Life of a Showgirl featuring Sabrina. Well, here she is. Oh, this is from the Eras tour. I don't know if that was from the Eras tour, but it sounded like it. Sabrina sounds like Maisie Peters on that. Interesting. Okay, so that as a conclusion, it was kind of like the manuscript. It was kind of like Dear Reader. It was like, and in conclusion, this is what the album, this is how the album ended. Okay, so it was less upbeat than I had maybe expected, and it was more of a like we're winding down and going off stage. Okay, that's it. That's the album. I'm gonna need some more time with that. Like I said at the start, the fact that things aren't sticky is, I think, a long-term good thing, because it means that it's not just like little annoying earworm. It's something that I'll grow into. So yeah, I'm really curious what the movie's gonna add to that. My standout favorites are Elizabeth Taylor, father figure, super interesting. Canceled. Those are my top three off of a first listen. Can't wait for that to change and for me to notice new things. I missed a lot of the words, so, and it's quite a wordy album for being so pop. I think there are a lot of like clever ways with words in there, like the skating on my ice veins or something. Like, what? Okay, I need to take a closer look at that. So yeah, I'm gonna eat something. And good morning. Thanks for listening with me, and I will see you soon.